This thing you mentioned a few minutes back with the team of leaders you're working with in Guatemala, and also the students you worked with, which were the life skills that they mentioned. So we keep hearing these things in the concepts of life skills, right? But they, I mean, could you possibly be more specific of some of the skills you're talking about? But to start with that, you mentioned how you approached the team of leaders and you said learning, right? I don't want to teach you
Mhm.
what to do, but I want to teach you how to learn. And
Mhm.
I find that um, a very important yet um, something that's looked down upon by a lot of people at a certain after a certain age, because we
Right.
encourage students to learn when you're a student.
Mhm.
But once you're
Right.
no longer a student, you shouldn't show weakness. You shouldn't show that you don't know. And in some way, that defeats the idea of learning, because learning does display vulnerability, does display a lack of not knowing and the willingness to
Mhm.
overcome that. But not many people are given an opportunity, and the ones who do have an opportunity feel intimidated because it's like a sign of weakness in a corporate environment, or it's a sign of weakness in a
Mhm.
group, especially today when you have information at your fingertip saying that you don't know, or and learning is not always done through a course or a certification, but it's also done through interaction with other human beings who know more than you. So how does
Mhm.
someone navigate that?
So I would love to answer this question with a story, because I well, this just happened to me with the leaders here that I'm working with,
Mm-hmm.
just within the last few weeks, and it was one of those moments where part of me wishes that somebody had it on video because I would
Mm-hmm.
love to revisit this moment over and over and over and over again. But I mean, I can because it's in my mind. But anyway, so we're nearing the end of this one phase of training, and I've got this group of about 20 or so, and we've been working together for about 4 weeks. And as we're coming to the end, somebody brings up the fact that, well, Josh is leaving. He's going home for a little while, and then he'll be back for the next phase of training. It's, Thanksgiving and all, and family. So what they started getting a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous because they know that they have to start taking over on their own, like doing things without me. And I mean, they know that I've always got their back. I'm always supporting them from remotely, but it was a little nerve wracking for them. They're uncertain and scared of the future. So I don't know where this came from. I really don't. But my inner Chris Farley playing Matt Foley, the motivational speaker who lives in a van down by the river, he just came out of me, and I went full motivational speaker. And I still don't know why, but it worked. So I said, okay, you guys, I want to talk about something, and I want everyone to pay attention, to really like take this to heart. So I wanted to make sure I had their attention first, because if they're distracted and they only get part of the message, it's not going to be effective. So once I have all their attention and they're committed to it, I said, I want you to think back to your childhood and learning to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, okay, okay. I was like, anybody not know how to ride a bike? Did anybody not go through that? Because if not, you won't get this. But nobody had, thankfully. I said, I have 4 kids. They currently range from 16 at the youngest to nearly 30, which really makes me feel old. But all 4 of them I taught to ride a bike, and all 4 of them were very different. It wasn't on purpose necessarily, but with my first kid, almost 31, I did not want to see him fall. I did not want to see him get hurt. I mean, he's my first kid. I'm afraid that if I break him, I'm going to have to send him back. And really didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep him.
Yeah.
And so I was like explaining everything. Okay, So downward force on the pedals, make sure the vector is correct on your handlebars and that your wheels are aligned. Keep pedaling, but lean to one side and the other. You got to keep your balance. I filled his head with enough instructions to build an IKEA bookshelf.
Hmm.
I mean, this kid is like, his head is swimming with instructions. And of course, he panicked.
Hmm.
He had the hardest time learning to ride a bike because he was just thinking about all of the steps so much. So it wasn't until after he had learned to ride a bike and I had some time to sit and think about it that I'm like, you know, I probably could have done that with a lot less because as I was thinking about my own time riding a bike, nobody taught me. I just did it on my own. Like I figured it out and I fell a lot. But so my next kid, I was like, okay, I'm gonna back off a little. I'm gonna kind of let her take over. Well, she was my first daughter, and like I didn't want to break her either.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, she's so fragile, and of course, she really wasn't. Um, Very, very strong kid. But I did it. I found myself doing it again, and sure enough, it pretty much the same thing happened. Very much thinking heavily about it. So there was a gap there between the first two and the last two. Um, a gap of about 7 years or so.
Hmm.
So when my younger of my two daughters was born and she was getting to that age to ride a bike, I thought, all right, um, two strikes. I don't want to get a third, but I don't want to break my kid.
Yeah,
So what I'm going to do is to use less instructions. I'm going to just do everything in my power to hold back and just watch her do it and be there to support her.
right.
So I was, and the fact that I was like a helicopter parent side by side with her the whole time, even though I wasn't giving all the instructions, it was just my presence that made her nervous. And it
Mm,
took forever to learn how to ride a bike. I'm like, I am never going to succeed at this.
right.
Well, then luckily I had a fourth kid just to teach this kid how to ride a bike, by the way.
Yeah,
As soon as he learned, he was gone. No. um, so I decided with the last one, I was just going to do exactly what I did when I learned to ride a bike. I mean, not exactly. I wanted to be part of it. So I said, all right, there's the bike. Put it on two wheels, turn the pedals, try not to fall. Let me know how it goes.
mm,
And everything in my body is screaming at me, going, no, you have to go like make sure those training wheels fit correctly. You walk behind him to make sure he doesn't fall. And of course, my wife's behind me telling me the same thing. She's like,
yeah.
don't let him fall. Make sure he's okay. So I just let him do it. And I watched him fall. And when he fell, like every parent who's ever been through this knows it. Like when he fell, I look away. I'm like, nope. Oh, what happened? I wasn't watching
Yeah, yeah.
because as long as you're not watching, it's like, um, what is that? The Schrodinger's cat paradox. Like, if I'm not watching, did he really get hurt?
Yeah, yeah.
So, sure enough, he got back up. No tears, nothing. Got back up, got on the bike, and tried it again. And so he did this process like it was only three times or something. And next thing I know, he's riding down the street. He's still got training wheels, but he's riding down the street. I'm like, wow, you really picked that up fast. I go, want to take the training wheels off? He's like, well, why would I want to do that? Oh, because you can go faster.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, I want to go fast. So takes him off and he just starts riding. And I'm
mm,
just sitting there going, wow, there's something to this element of trust, of like explaining it in simple terms, letting people arrive at their own conclusions, and making sure that you're there to support them if they need it. So I'm telling my leaders this, right? And I can see the wheels turning in their head. They are clearly soaking this up. And when I got done with that story, I said, you all just learned how to ride a bike. and you've got training wheels on. I'm the training wheels, but
Mm.
I'm taking off and going home because as much as I love y'all, I love my family more and Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm going home to have some. And when I'm gone, you're going to have to ride.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're going to fall. You are going to piss people off. People are going to get mad at you, and you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to help them bring that level back down and calm them down. And you're just going to have to keep learning. And here's the thing, though, our company expects that. You are not punished for that. You are expected to fail because if you never fail, it means you're not taking any risks. It means you're not innovating. And it means that you are just playing it safe the whole time. You've got one foot on the ground and you're not really writing. So I want you to go out there and I want you to give absolutely legendary service to people and blow their minds with how awesome you can be. And if that doesn't work out, and people yell at you and they mark you down on those surveys after the call or whatever, that's fine. Just learn from it and don't let it keep happening because that's when we have a problem. And I'm like, it's time to take those training wheels off. We hired you because we trust you, because we have faith in you, and because we know how badass you are and how able you are to do all of these things that we've trained you to do. So get out there and ride. And
Mm.
the moment that I said that, this room of 20 people who was like all sitting there just staring and listening to me intently, and like that felt pretty good. Um, they erupted into applause. They all came like running to the front of the room, and it was a big old 20-person group hug. Like I genuinely had my Rudy moment, like where I'm getting carried off the field. They didn't actually carry me. That would have been cool. But it was just one of those moments where it clicked and you realized all of the work that went into setting up this training and all of the work, the tireless long nights of writing and advising and um, answering questions and doing all of that, it paid off because they got it.
Right.
And the best part of it was the following week, while I was at home, I was like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to look at the kid riding the bike and all because if I look, they might fall, but I want to peek in and see how they're doing. And what they were doing was nothing short of amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, like I've never seen that from brand new people that have just gotten out of training before. And I
Mm.
genuinely feel that it was the confidence that we showed. It was giving them permission to make mistakes and to learn from them so that they don't have that hanging over their heads anymore. But just that element of trust, it's so strong. And it's one of those qualities that, they call it a soft skill. And I hate that. I hate the term soft skill because I know what it's supposed to mean. Like the hard skills are that's technical stuff. But the soft skills are anything but soft. They are the firm foundation upon which everything else is built. If you
Yeah.
don't have communication, you don't have trust. If you can't demonstrate empathy and compassion, everything else that you do is doomed to fail at that point. So maybe they need to switch places. Maybe the hard
Yeah.
skills need to be the soft skills and the other way around.